The wind came off the Hudson River like a slap. It was February in New York City, and the cold did not care about anything. It did not care about her empty pockets. It did not care about the hole in her left boot. It did not care that she had not eaten since yesterday afternoon. The cold just kept coming. She stood on the subway platform at 14th Street. The lights above her buzzed and flickered. The sound made her teeth hurt. She pulled her jacket tighter, but the zipper broke 3 weeks ago, so she just held it closed with one hand. Her other hand stayed in her pocket. There was nothing in there anyway. Her name was Diana Reyes, and she was 31 years old. 2 years ago, she had a job. She had an apartment in Washington Heights. She had a couch she bought from Bob's Discount Furniture. She had a plant on the windowsill that she remembered to water every Tuesday. She had a 401k with $7,000 in it. She had a credit score that was not great, but not terrible. She had a boyfriend named Marcus who worked at a tire shop in the Bronx. She had a plan. The plan was simple. Work hard, save money, maybe buy a little house in Pennsylvania one day where rent was cheaper. Maybe have a kid before she turned 35. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy, just a life. Then the plan fell apart. It fell apart the way most American plans fell apart. Not with a bang, with a medical bill. Marcus got sick in April 2 years ago, not sick like a cold.
Sick, like he woke up one morning and could not lift his arm. Sick, like the doctor said the word tumor and everything changed. He had insurance through his job, but the insurance did not cover everything. It never covers everything. The deductibles ate up what little savings they had. The out-of-pocket maximum was a number that sounded fake when the hospital financial office said it out loud. Diana used her 401k to pay the first round of bills. She sold the couch on Facebook Marketplace. She gave the plant to her neighbor Rosa because she could not bear to watch it die. Marcus survived the surgery. He survived the chemo. He survived everything except the damage to his body that meant he could not go back to work. He went to live with his mother in the Bronx. They were not together anymore, not because they stopped loving each other, because loving each other did not pay for anything, and the shame of watching her struggle broke something in him that neither of them knew how to fix. She lost the apartment 3 months after Marcus left. The landlord was not cruel. He was just a man with a mortgage who could not let her stay for free. He gave her 30 days. She spent those 30 days on the phone with every agency she could find. Emergency housing assistance, Section 8 waitlist that was 5 years long. Catholic Charities had no funding left. The Salvation Army had a shelter in Midtown with a bed available. She took it. That was the first night she slept in a shelter.
She told herself it was temporary. 2 weeks, maybe 3, just long enough to save a paycheck. She had a job then, part-time at a bakery in Chelsea. She made $8 an hour plus tips. The tips were good in the morning when people bought coffee and croissants. She made maybe $100 a week after taxes. $100 a week in New York City. Try to sleep on that number for a minute. You cannot. You cannot even buy a Metro card with that. You cannot buy a week of food with that. You cannot do anything except keep breathing and hope the next week is different. The bakery let her go in November. Business slowed down. The owner had to cut someone. Diana was the newest person. She understood. Understanding did not pay for anything. She walked out of the bakery that afternoon and stood on the sidewalk for 20 minutes. She did not cry. She did not scream. She just stood there. A man in a suit walked around her without making eye contact. A woman with a stroller went into the street to avoid her. Diana was not invisible yet. She was worse than invisible. She was visible in a way that made people uncomfortable. They saw her and saw what could happen to them, so they looked away. She understood that too. She walked back to the shelter that night with $8 in her pocket and a sandwich from a bodega that a stranger bought for her because she looked like she needed it. The stranger was a woman about her age, pretty, clean, holding a bag from Trader Joe's.
She said, "God bless you," and kept walking. Diana ate the sandwich on the steps of the shelter, turkey and cheese on white bread. It was the best thing she had tasted in weeks. The shelter was on 30th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues. It was a converted warehouse. The floors were concrete. The beds were cots lined up in rows with 3 feet of space between them. 200 women slept there every night. 200 women with 200 stories. Some were like Diana, people who fell and could not get back up yet. Some had been there for years. Some had been there so long they forgot what it felt like to sleep without someone snoring 3 feet away. Some were sick. Some were using. Some were running from something. A man who hit them. A debt they could not pay.
a memory that followed them like a second shadow. Diana learned their names. She learned that Charlene used to be a nurse in Detroit before her license got suspended over a paperwork mistake. She learned that Fatima had 3 children in foster care and called them every Sunday from a phone at the library. She learned that Jasmine was 19 years old and pregnant and had nowhere else to go. They were not bad people. They were not lazy people. They were just people who ran out of room for error. America does not give you many chances. You get a few. If you miss them, the country moves on without you. Diana had a routine. She woke up at 5 a.m. every morning. The lights in the shelter came on at 5:15.
She used the bathroom before the line got too long. She brushed her teeth with a toothbrush she kept in a Ziploc bag. She put on the cleanest clothes she had. She walked to the Port Authority bus terminal on 42nd Street. There was a row of chairs there near the ticketing area. She sat in the same chair every morning. She watched the commuters come and go, businessmen with briefcases, students with backpacks, families going to the airport. She watched them and tried to remember what it felt like to be one of them, to have somewhere to go, to have a ticket in your hand. She did not have a ticket. She had a library card. The library opened at 10. She spent the hours between 5 and 10 at the bus terminal, or walking the streets, or sitting on a bench in Madison Square Park if the cold was not too bad. The library on 42nd Street was her office, the big one with the lions out front. She walked up those steps every morning like she was walking into a cathedral. The doors opened and the heat hit her face, and for a few seconds she forgot where she was. She found a computer in the corner, the same computer every day, number 47. She logged in with her library card. She checked her email, nothing. She checked her bank account, $14.32. She checked the job listings on Craigslist. She applied to 5 jobs every day, any job, cashier at a deli, cleaning hotel rooms, overnight stock at a grocery store, dog walking, house sitting, anything.
She wrote cover letters that all sounded the same. I am hardworking. I am reliable. I have experience in customer service. Please give me a chance. She sent them into the void, and the void rarely wrote back. She did not have a phone, not a real one anyway. She had a prepaid flip phone she bought at a bodega for $20. It could make calls and send texts. No internet, no apps, no maps. She bought minutes when she could, $10 for 90 minutes. She used the minutes for 2 things, calling back anyone who responded to her job applications and calling her mother in Florida once a week. Her mother lived in a retirement community near Tampa, a small 1-bedroom apartment she rented with her Social Security check. She did not have room for Diana. She did not have money to send, but she prayed for Diana every night. She said that on every phone call. I prayed for you, mija. God is going to open a door. Diana believed her because she had to believe someone. The alternative was believing nothing. January came and went. February arrived like a fist. The cold was worse this year. The news said it was the coldest February in 15 years. Diana did not need the news to tell her that. She felt it in her bones. She felt it in her fingers when she tried to fill out paper applications at the library. Her hands shook from the cold even after she had been inside for hours. She started drinking coffee from the church on 35th Street, St. Francis of Assisi.
They had coffee and donuts every morning at 8. The coffee was weak and the donuts were stale, but they were warm. The warmth mattered more than the taste. She stood in the back of the church and drank her coffee and looked at the stained glass windows. The windows showed saints doing impossible things, feeding thousands with a few loaves, walking on water, rising from the dead. She wondered what the saints would do if they were standing on a subway platform with no money and no hope and no idea what tomorrow looked like. She wondered if the saints ever felt tired. She was so tired, not just her body, her spirit. The part of her that used to believe things would get better, that part was worn down like the heel of her boot, thin and cracked and barely holding together. She thought about giving up sometimes, not in a dramatic way. She was not going to hurt herself. She was just going to stop trying, stop applying for jobs, stop going to the library, stop pretending that something was about to change. She would just become one of the women she saw on the street, the ones who sat in the same doorway every day, the ones who talked to themselves, the ones who stopped looking at the world because the world stopped looking at them. That could be her in a year, 2 years. It happened slowly, then all at once. She saw it happen to a woman named Denise at the shelter. Denise stopped showering. Then she stopped eating. Then she stopped talking. One day she was just gone.
Nobody knew where she went. Nobody asked. That was the thing about being homeless. You could disappear, and nobody would even notice the hole you left behind. But Diana did not give up. Not because she was strong, not because she had faith. She did not give up because she was stubborn. There is a difference. Strength is something you have. Stubbornness is something that has you. Diana had always been stubborn. Her mother said she came out of the womb with her fists clenched. She got that from her father, a man who worked construction in the Bronx for 40 years, a man who never missed a day of work, even when his back was so bad he could barely stand up straight. A man who died of a heart attack in his truck at 62 years old, with his hard hat still on. He taught Diana one thing that stuck. You do not quit. You finish what you started. She started this life. She was going to finish it. She did not know how yet, but she was not going to quit. The moment everything shifted happened on a Tuesday. Not a special Tuesday, just a Tuesday. February 18th. She remembered the date because it was the day before her mother's birthday. She wanted to call her mother, but she did not have minutes on her phone. She walked to the library anyway. She sat at computer number 47. She applied to 3 jobs: a dishwasher at a diner in the Village, a stock person at a Duane Reade in Chelsea, a receptionist at a dental office in Midtown. The dental office job was a long shot. They wanted someone with experience and a high school diploma. Diana had both. She graduated from Truman High School in the Bronx in 2008. She had 3 years of reception experience from a job she lost when the company moved to Texas. But the gap on her resume was 2 years long now. 2 years of nothing. 2 years that screamed something was wrong with her, even though nothing was wrong except bad luck and a system that punished people for being poor. She finished her applications and leaned back in the chair. The library was warm, too warm. She felt her eyes getting heavy. She had not slept well the night before. A woman next to her coughed all night. The sound kept waking her up. She rested her head on her arm. Just for a minute. She closed her eyes. The next thing she knew, someone was tapping her shoulder. A librarian, a young woman with glasses and a kind face. She said the library was closing in 15 minutes. Diana sat up. Her neck hurt. Her mouth was dry. She looked at the clock. 5:45. She had slept for almost 3 hours. She felt ashamed. People were looking at her. Not mean looks, just looks. The kind of looks that said, "We see you." The kind of looks that said, "We know you do not have anywhere else to go." She stood up and gathered her things. Her backpack, her jacket, her library books. 2 books she checked out last week. One was a novel she was reading. The other was a book about personal finance. She found it in the business section. The title was The Millionaire Next Door. She read the first chapter sitting on a bench in Bryant Park. The book talked about discipline, about saving money even when you did not have much, about building something small into something big over a long time. She did not have money to save, but she had time. That was the only thing she had plenty of. Time. Hours and hours of time with nothing to fill them. She thought about what she could do with all that time. What could she learn? What could she build? What could she start with nothing except a library card and a stubborn refusal to quit? She walked to the subway station at 42nd Street. She did not have money for a train. She was not going anywhere. She just wanted to get out of the cold for a while. The subway was warm. Not warm like the library. Warm like a bus full of people on a winter day. Stuffy and thick and heavy. She stood on the platform and watched the trains come and go. The 1 train, the 2 train, the 3 train. Each one stopped. Each one opened its doors. Each one took people somewhere. Home, work, a date, a dinner, a life. She watched them and felt something she had not felt in a long time. Not hope exactly. Something smaller than hope. Something quieter. A feeling that maybe she was not done yet. Maybe there was still a train coming for her. She just had to be on the platform when it arrived. She sat down on a bench near the end of the platform. The lights above her buzzed. The sound was annoying at first. Then it became a rhythm. Then it became something else. a sound she could think inside. She pulled out the personal finance book and opened it to chapter 2. She read about compound interest, about how money grows over time if you leave it alone, about how a little bit saved early becomes a lot saved later. She did not have money, but she had time. Time was the thing compound interest needed most. She read the same paragraph 3 times. Something was happening in her mind. Something was clicking. She closed the book and looked at the tracks. The third rail was right there, dangerous and powerful and full of electricity. She thought about how the subway worked, how thousands of volts ran through that rail all day, every day, how you could not see the power, but it was there, how you could not touch it or you would die, but you could ride the train. You could let the power move you somewhere else. She needed to find her third rail, something powerful she could not touch yet, but something she could learn to ride. She needed a skill, not just a job, a skill, something she could do that people would pay for, something she could learn for free, something that did not require a degree or a uniform or a special kind of boot. She thought about the computers at the library. She thought about the internet she could use for free. She thought about all the things people learned on YouTube, how to code, how to design websites, how to write copy, how to do bookkeeping, how to sell things online, how to build something from nothing. She did not know which one was right for her, but she knew she had to pick something. She could not keep applying for jobs that did not call back. She could not keep hoping for a break that never came. She had to build her own break. The next train came. The doors opened. People got off. People got on. The doors closed. The train left. Diana watched it go. She stayed on the bench. The lights buzzed above her. Her empty pockets felt light against her legs. She reached into her right pocket anyway. Her fingers touched something. A penny. Just one penny. She pulled it out and looked at it. Lincoln stared back at her. She had no idea how long that penny had been in her pocket. Weeks maybe. Months. She held it between her thumb and her finger. 1 cent. The smallest unit of American money. Worth almost nothing. But it was something. It was a start. She put the penny back in her pocket. She closed the book. She stood up. She walked to the stairs. She climbed up to the street. The cold hit her face again, but it felt different now. Not warmer, just less heavy. Like something had lifted even though nothing had changed. Everything was exactly the same, but everything felt different. She did not know why. She would think about that moment for years. That night on the subway platform. That penny in her pocket. That feeling of something clicking into place even though she had no plan and no money and no idea what came next.
She just knew she was not done, and maybe that was enough for tonight. She walked back to the shelter. The line was already forming outside. Women in coats and hats and gloves. Women with backpacks and shopping bags and suitcases. Women holding pictures of children they had not seen in months. Women holding nothing but themselves. Diana got in line behind a woman named Gloria, who smelled like cigarettes and hand sanitizer. Gloria did not turn around. She just stood there staring at the door. Diana stood behind her and felt the penny in her pocket. She pressed her finger against it, a small circle of copper, worth almost nothing, but it was hers. And tomorrow she was going to the library, and tomorrow she was going to learn something. She did not know what yet, but she was going to learn something, and she was going to keep learning until one day she knew enough to change everything. That was the plan. That was the only plan. And for the first time in 2 years, it felt like enough. The library became her second home. She showed up every morning at 10 o'clock. She sat at computer number 47. She did not look at job listings anymore. She looked at tutorials. She typed free online courses into the search bar. A whole world opened up in front of her. MIT had free classes. Harvard had free classes. Stanford had free classes. She could learn anything. Chemistry, philosophy, computer science, history, art. She did not know where to start.
She clicked on a course called Introduction to Computer Science. The first lecture was a video of a professor talking about algorithms. She did not understand half of what he said. She watched it again, then again, then again. On the fourth time, something started to make sense, just a little, just enough to keep her watching. She had no background in computers. She graduated high school with C's and B's. She took one typing class in ninth grade. She knew how to use email and Facebook. That was it. She did not know what code looked like. She did not know what programmers did all day. She thought they sat in dark rooms drinking energy drinks and typing really fast. That was the extent of her knowledge. But she was stubborn. Stubborn counted for something. She watched the second lecture, then the third. She took notes in a notebook she found in the trash at the shelter, a spiral notebook with a coffee stain on the cover and 20 blank pages inside. She wrote down every word she did not understand. That was a long list. Variable, function, loop, array, string, integer. She looked up each word on Wikipedia. Wikipedia used other words she did not understand. She looked those up too. It was like peeling an onion. Each answer led to another question. Each question led to another later. She kept peeling. The first week was hard. The second week was harder. She wanted to quit 100 times. She wanted to go back to applying for jobs at Duane Reade. She wanted to go back to hoping someone would call her for an interview, but she remembered the subway platform. She remembered the feeling of something clicking. She remembered the penny in her pocket. She could not explain why that moment mattered. It just did. So she kept going. She watched the lectures. She took the notes. She typed along with the professor on a free coding website. The website let her write code in her browser. She wrote her first program on a Thursday afternoon. It was 3 lines long. It printed the words, "Hello World," on the screen. She stared at those 2 words for a long time. Hello World. Like the computer was saying hello back to her. Like she was not invisible anymore. She cried a little. Not sad crying. Something else. Something she had not felt in years. Pride. Small and quiet and fragile, but real. She told no one about the coding. Not the women at the shelter. Not her mother on the phone. Not the librarian who smiled at her every morning. She kept it to herself like a secret, like a seed she was watering in the dark. She was afraid that if she said it out loud, the spell would break, that someone would laugh, that someone would tell her she was wasting her time, that someone would remind her she was a homeless woman with a broken boot and a library card, not a computer programmer. She knew what people thought. She knew because she used to think it too. Before everything fell apart, she saw homeless people on the street, and she looked away.
She did not think they could learn to code. She did not think they could do anything except stand on corners with cardboard signs. She was wrong. She knew that now, but she was not ready to explain it to anyone else. The shelter had rules. Lights out at 10 p.m., wake up at 5 a.m., no guests, no drugs, no alcohol, no fighting. Diana followed every rule. She did not want to give anyone a reason to kick her out. The bed was hard. The blankets were thin. The woman next to her snored like a chainsaw. But it was a roof. It was heat. It was a place to sleep without worrying about someone stealing her backpack while she closed her eyes. She learned to sleep through the noise. She learned to sleep anywhere. On a bus, on a bench, on the floor of a train station if she had to. Your body adapts. Your mind adapts. You learn to survive in ways you never imagined. That was the gift of homelessness. Not a gift anyone would ask for, but a gift anyway. She learned she could handle more than she ever knew. The second week of March brought rain, cold rain that turned the streets into rivers. Diana walked from the shelter to the library with her hood pulled tight. Her boots leaked. Her socks were wet by the time she got to 42nd Street. She sat at computer number 47 and took off her boots. She put her socks on the radiator. The librarian saw her, but did not say anything. The librarian just brought her a cup of coffee from the staff room. Black coffee in a brown mug. Diana said thank you.
The librarian said, "You are welcome." That was the whole conversation, but it was enough. Small kindnesses kept her going. A cup of coffee, a warm radiator, a librarian who did not pretend not to see her. These things mattered more than big gestures. These things reminded her she was still human. She finished the computer science course in 3 weeks.
She watched every lecture, she did every exercise, she typed every line of code. She wanted more. She found a course on web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. She learned how to build a website. A simple website at first, just text and pictures. Then a better website with buttons and forms. Then a website that looked like something a real business might use. She built a website for a fake bakery. She built a website for a fake gym. She built a website for a fake dog walking service. Each one got better. Each one taught her something new. She filled her notebook with code snippets and ideas. The notebook ran out of pages. She found another one in the trash, a blue notebook with a broken spiral. She used that one too. She started going to the library on Saturdays. The library closed early on weekends, but she made the most of the hours. She sat in the same chair, she used the same computer, she drank the same free coffee from the staff room. The librarian learned her name, Diana. Not hey you, not miss, Diana. The librarian asked her what she was working on. Diana showed her the website for the fake bakery.
The librarian smiled and said it looked professional. Professional. That word hit Diana like a truck. Nobody had called anything she did professional until years. She walked out of the library that day with her head higher than it had been in months. The rain had stopped. The sun was out. The streets were wet, but the sky was blue. She stood on the library steps and looked at the lions. She smiled at them. They did not smile back, but she did not need them to. The first failure came in April. Diana found a listing for a freelance web design job on Craigslist. A small business in Brooklyn needed a website. The pay was $500. $500 was more money than she had seen in months. She emailed the person. She attached screenshots of the websites she built. She explained her situation without explaining too much. She said she was a self-taught developer looking for her first paid project. The person emailed back the same day. They wanted to meet her in person at a coffee shop in Williamsburg. Diana said yes before she thought about the logistics. She had no money for the train. Williamsburg was a long walk from the shelter. She did it anyway. She walked across the Williamsburg Bridge on a Tuesday morning. The bridge was long and cold and windy. She walked for an hour, maybe longer. She did not have a watch. She just kept walking. She got to the coffee shop at 11 a.m. The coffee shop was nice, too nice. People with laptops and expensive sneakers. A latte cost $6. She ordered a cup of hot water. It was free. She sat at a table near the window. She waited. The person never showed up. She waited an hour, then another hour. She sent an email. No response. She called the number from the Craigslist ad. The number was disconnected. It was a fake. Someone posted a fake job for fun, or for data, or for some reason she would never understand. She walked back across the bridge. The wind was worse in the afternoon. Her face was numb by the time she got back to Manhattan. She went to the library. She sat at computer number 47. She did not cry. She did not scream. She just opened her coding tutorial and kept typing. What else could she do? The second failure came in May. She found a real opportunity this time. A nonprofit in Harlem needed help with their website. The person was a woman named Patrice who ran a community center. Patrice answered her email personally. She said she could not pay much, maybe $200, but the work was real. Diana said yes immediately. She met Patrice at the community center on a Saturday morning. Patrice was a black woman in her 50s with short gray hair and kind eyes. She showed Diana the website. It was old. It looked like something from 2005. The text was hard to read. The pictures did not load. The contact form did not work. Diana said she could fix it. Patrice said great. Diana spent 2 weeks rebuilding the website. She worked at the library. She worked at a park when the weather was nice. She worked on a bench near the community center when the library was closed. She built a clean, modern website that worked on phones and computers and tablets. She added a working contact form. She added pictures of the kids at the community center. She added a calendar of events. She was proud of it, really proud. She showed Patrice the finished website on a Friday afternoon. Patrice looked at it on her phone. She clicked around. She smiled. She said it looked beautiful. Then she said she could not pay right now. Funding got cut. The grant did not come through. Maybe next month. Diana stood there with her hands in her pockets. She felt the penny. She pressed her finger against it. She said okay. She said she understood. She walked out of the community center and sat on the steps. She put her head in her hands. 2 weeks of work for nothing. $200 that would have bought her a new pair of boots. Food for a month. Minutes for her phone. Nothing.
She sat there for 20 minutes. Then she stood up. She walked back to the library. She opened her coding tutorial. She kept typing. The third failure hurt the most. June came and the city got hot. The shelter was unbearable at night. No air conditioning, just fans that pushed hot air around. Diana could not sleep. She was tired all the time. Her mind was slow. Her code had bugs she could not find. She made mistakes she should not have made.
She applied for a freelance job on a website called Upwork. A small business in New Jersey needed someone to build an e-commerce website. The budget was $1,000. Diana spent a week putting together a proposal. She wrote samples of code, she explained her process, she showed the website she built for the nonprofit, even though she never got paid for it. The client responded. They wanted to do a video call. Diana did not have a camera on her phone. She went to the library and used one of their meeting rooms. The video call was awkward. Her background was a bookshelf. The client's background was a home office with nice furniture. The client asked where she went to school. Diana said she was self-taught. The client asked for references. Diana did not have references. The client said they would be in touch. They were not in touch. She checked her email every hour for a week. Nothing. The client hired someone else, someone with a degree, someone with a website, someone who did not look like they were calling from a library. She thought about giving up. Not the quiet giving up where you stop trying, the loud giving up where you admit you were wrong. She thought about walking into the shelter that night and throwing her notebooks in the trash. She thought about going back to applying for jobs at Duane Reade. She thought about becoming one of the women who sat in the doorway and talked to themselves. Maybe that was easier. Maybe that hurt less than trying and failing over and over again. She sat on the subway platform that night, the same platform at 14th Street, the same buzzing lights, the same cold, even though it was June. The trains came and went. People got on and off. Nobody looked at her. She reached into her pocket. The penny was still there. She held it in her palm. 1 cent, worth almost nothing. She thought about throwing it on the tracks, just to see what would happen, just to feel something different. She did not throw. She put it back in her pocket. She stood up. She walked to the stairs. She climbed up to the street. The heat hit her like a wall. She walked to the shelter. She got in line. She slept. She woke up. She went to the library. She sat at computer number 47. She opened her coding tutorial. She kept typing. That was the thing about stubborn people. They did not quit, because quitting was not in them. They kept going even when going made no sense, even when everything said stop. They kept going because stopping was worse than failing. Stopping meant the penny won. Stopping meant the fake job in Williamsburg won. Stopping meant the broken website for the nonprofit won. She was not going to let them win. She was going to keep typing until her fingers fell off, or until something changed. One of those things was going to happen first. She was betting on the change. July brought a heat wave. The library was crowded with people escaping the heat. Old people. Young people. Families with kids. Homeless people like her. Everyone sitting in the air conditioning trying to survive. Computer number 47 was taken one morning. Diana sat at computer number 12 instead. It was on the other side of the room. The keyboard was sticky. The screen had a scratch. She did not care. She opened her tutorial. She typed her code. She heard someone clear their throat behind her. She turned around. A man was standing there. He was maybe 40 years old. White guy. Beard. Glasses. Jeans and a t-shirt that said a coding joke she did not understand. He said he could not help but notice what she was working on. She closed her laptop. She was ready for him to make fun of her, to tell her she was in the wrong section, to ask if she was lost. He did not do any of that. He pointed at her screen. He said she had a bug on line 17. She looked at line 17. She did not see anything wrong. He asked if he could show her something. She said okay. He leaned over and pointed at a missing semicolon. One tiny semicolon. She had been staring at that bug for 2 hours. He fixed it in 2 seconds. The code ran. The website loaded. She laughed. Not a happy laugh. A tired laugh. A laugh that said, of course it was a semicolon. He laughed too. He said his name was David. He said he was a software engineer at a company in Manhattan. He came to the library sometimes to get work done. He said he liked the quiet. She said she liked the free air conditioning. He laughed again. They talked for 20 minutes. He asked what she was building. She showed him the e-commerce website she was working on, a fake store that sold hiking gear. She built it to practice. He looked at the code. He said it was good for a beginner. Then he said it was good for anyone. She did not know if he meant it or if he was just being nice. He gave her his email address. He said to reach out if she had questions. She thanked him. He walked away. She stared at the email address on a scrap of paper. David Chen, software engineer. She put the paper in her pocket next to the penny. She finished the e-commerce website that afternoon. It worked. It really worked. Customers could add items to a cart. They could enter their shipping information. They could pretend to check out. It was not real, but it looked real. It felt real. She sat back in her chair and looked at the screen. She built this with her own hands, with a library card and a broken spiral notebook and a stubborn refusal to quit. This was real. This mattered. She did not have a job. She did not have money, but she had this, and this was more than she had 6 months ago. She emailed David that night. She used a computer at the shelter. There was one computer in the common area, old and slow, but it worked. She wrote a short email. She thanked him for his help. She asked if he knew anyone hiring junior developers. She attached screenshots of her work, the fake bakery, the fake gym, the fake dog walking service, the real website for the nonprofit that never paid her, the e-commerce site she just finished. She hit send. She did not expect a response. People said things in person that they did not follow up on. She learned that a long time ago. She went to bed. She slept badly. The heat was still there. The woman next to her snored. The fans moved hot air around the room. She woke up at 5 a.m. She went to the bathroom. She brushed her teeth. She checked the computer. David had responded. His email was short. He said he talked to a friend at a startup in Soho. The startup made software for restaurants. They needed a junior developer. The pay was low for New York, $40,000 a year, but it was a salary. It was health insurance. It was a chance. David said to send her resume. She did not have a resume, not a real one. She had a list of jobs from 3 years ago. She had a gap. She had an address that was a shelter. She sat down at the computer and wrote a resume anyway. She listed the nonprofit website as freelance work. She listed her self-study as education. She did not lie. She just told the truth in a way that sounded like something an employer might want to read. She sent the resume to David. He forwarded it to his friend. She waited. The interview was scheduled for a Monday morning, 10 a.m. at the startup's office on Broadway. Diana did not have interview clothes. She had jeans, she had a t-shirt, she had a hoodie. She had boots with a hole in the left one. She went to the Salvation Army on 46th Street. She found a blouse for $3, a black blouse with a small stain near the collar. She found a pair of pants for $4, black pants that were too long. She hemmed them with a needle and thread she borrowed from a woman at the shelter. The woman's name was Carolyn. Carolyn used to be a seamstress. She showed Diana how to make the stitches small and tight. Diana practiced on an old shirt. Then she hemmed the pants. They looked okay. Not great, but okay. The morning of the interview, she woke up at 4 a.m. She could not sleep. She took a shower. The water was cold. The soap was cheap. She washed her hair with the shampoo the shelter gave out. It smelled like lemons and chemicals. She put on the blouse. She put on the pants. She looked at herself in the small mirror above the sink. She did not recognize the woman looking back. Not because she looked different, because she looked the same. Same tired eyes. Same thin face. Same hands that had not held anything valuable in years. But something behind her eyes was different. Something was awake. Something was ready. She put the penny in her pocket. She walked to the subway. She did not have money for a train. She walked the whole way, 40 blocks, from 30th Street to Soho. She walked through the city as it woke up. Trucks making deliveries. Buses rumbling past. People in suits getting coffee. She walked past all of them. She was one of them now. Not yet. Almost. But not yet. She got to the office at 9:45. The building was old. The elevator was slow. The office was on the 4th floor. She walked in. A woman at the front desk asked her name. Diana Reyes. The woman smiled. She said to have a seat. Diana sat down. The chair was comfortable. The office was quiet. Computers everywhere. Young people typing. Someone brought out a tray of bagels. The smell made her stomach hurt. She had not eaten since yesterday. She looked at the bagels. Cream cheese. Butter. She did not take one. She did not want to seem desperate. She sat with her hands in her lap. She felt the penny through her pants. She pressed her finger against it. She closed her eyes. She said a prayer. Not to any specific God.
just to whoever might be listening. Please, just this once. Please. The door opened. A man walked out. He was young, maybe 30, brown skin, short hair, a smile that seemed real. He extended his hand. He said his name was Malik. He was the lead developer. He said David spoke highly of her. He said to come on back. She stood up. She followed him. The room was full of computers, 3 monitors on each desk, code on every screen. She had never been in a place like this before. It felt like a church for people who built things. Malik sat down at a small table. He gestured for her to sit across from him. He asked her one question, not about her resume, not about her education,
Not about where she went to school. He asked her to show him something she built. She opened her backpack. She pulled out an old laptop. The library let her borrow it for a week, a program for people who needed computers. She opened the e-commerce website, the hiking gear store. She walked him through the code. She showed him how the cart worked, how the checkout worked, how she handled errors, how she made sure the website looked good on a phone. She talked for 10 minutes, maybe 15. She did not stop. She could not stop. This was the first time anyone had asked to see her work, the first time anyone had treated her like a real developer. She showed him everything, the good parts, the messy parts, the parts she wanted to fix but did not know how. He nodded. He asked questions. She answered them. He asked about a problem. How would she handle a situation where the website had to process 100 orders at once? She did not know. She said she did not know, but she said she would figure it out. She would read about it. She would practice. She would learn. He leaned back in his chair. He looked at her for a long time. She could not tell what he was thinking. She wanted to look away. She did not. She held his eyes. She had been invisible for so long. She was done being invisible. He smiled. He said he had one more question. She nodded. He said, "Why do you want this job?" She thought about the subway platform, the buzzing lights, the penny in her pocket.
the cold that would not leave, the shelter, the library, the librarian who brought her coffee, David and the missing semicolon, Patrice and the website she never got paid for, the fake job in Williamsburg, the walk across the bridge, the heat, the cold, the hunger, the shame. She thought about all of it. Then she said the truest thing she had ever said in an interview. She said, "Because I am already doing the work. I am just not getting paid for it yet." Malik did not say anything for a few seconds. Then he laughed. Not a mean laugh, a real laugh. He stood up. He stuck out his hand. He said the job started Monday, $40,000 a year, health insurance after 60 days. He said she would learn more in her first month than she learned in the last year. She shook his hand. Her hand was shaking. She hoped he did not notice. He noticed. He did not say anything. He just smiled. She walked out of the office. She got to the elevator. The doors closed. She leaned against the wall. She put her hand in her pocket. The penny was still there. She pulled it out. She looked at it. 1 cent, worth almost nothing, worth everything. The elevator doors opened. She walked out of the building. The sun was high. The street was loud. She stood on the sidewalk and let the city move around her. She had a job. She had a job. She said it out loud. A woman walking past looked at her strange. Diana did not care. She said it again. "I have a job." She walked back to the shelter, 40 blocks.
She did not feel the distance. She did not feel the heat. She did not feel the hole in her boot. She felt the penny in her pocket. She felt the blouse from the Salvation Army. She felt the pants she hemmed by hand. She felt the weight of everything she had carried and everything she had left behind. She walked into the shelter. She found Carolyn. She told her the news. Carolyn cried. Diana cried too. They stood in the corner of the shelter and cried like two women who had seen too much and survived anyway. Carolyn said she always knew Diana would make it. Diana did not correct her. She did not say that she almost gave up 100 times. She did not say that she still did not know how she made it. She just said, "Thank you." She said thank you to Carolyn, to the librarian, to David, to Patrice, to the woman who bought her the turkey sandwich, to everyone who saw her when she was invisible. She said thank you to all of them. Then she went to the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror. The woman looking back was still tired, still thin, still wearing a blouse with a small stain near the collar.
but her eyes were different now. They were eyes that had seen the bottom and climbed back up. Eyes that knew something most people never learned. That a penny in your pocket is not nothing. That a library card is a weapon. That stubborn is stronger than smart. That the only way out is through. She smiled at herself. The woman in the mirror smiled back.
For the first time in 2 years, she recognized who she was looking at. Monday came faster than she expected. She woke up at 4 a.m. again. She could not help it. Her body was used to the shelter schedule. The lights did not come on until 5:15, but she was already awake. She lay on her cot and listened to the women around her breathe. Some of them snored. Some of them talked in their sleep. One woman cried out for someone named Michael. Diana did not know who Michael was. She said a small prayer for him anyway. Then she got up. She washed her face in the sink. She brushed her teeth. She put on the same black blouse and the same black pants. She did not have anything else. She would buy more clothes when her first paycheck came. That thought made her stomach flutter. Her first paycheck. She had not seen a paycheck in almost a year. She walked to the subway. This time she had money. Not much. $6 and change left over from the change she found in a couch at the shelter last week. Someone left it behind. Diana almost gave it to Carolyn. Carolyn needed it more. But Carolyn made her keep it. Carolyn said this was her bus money, her train money, her getting to work money. Diana bought a Metro card. $7 for 5 rides. She swiped it at the turnstile and walked through. The sound was ordinary. People did it a million times a day. But for Diana, it felt like music. She was a person with a destination again. She got on the downtown train.
She stood near the doors. She held the pole. The train moved. The lights flickered. She thought about all the nights she stood on subway platforms with nowhere to go. Now she was on the train. Now she was going somewhere. The doors opened at Canal Street. She got off. She walked to Broadway. She walked into the building. She took the slow elevator to the 4th floor. The office was different at 9 in the morning, full of people. Phones ringing, keyboards clicking. Someone laughed at something on their screen. Malik saw her walk in. He waved her over. He introduced her to the team. 6 people, 4 men, 2 women, all of them younger than her. All of them looked like they had never slept on a cot in a shelter. She felt out of place. She felt like everyone could see the stain on her blouse, the hole in her boot, the 2 years of hunger written on her face. But nobody said anything. Nobody stared. Malik showed her to her desk. A small desk in the corner. A computer with 2 monitors. A chair that rolled and spun. She sat down. She put her backpack under the desk. She put her hands on the keyboard. She was ready. The first week was hard, harder than she expected. The code at the startup was different from the code she learned at the library. Messier, faster, full of shortcuts she did not understand. Malik gave her small tasks at first. Fix a button that was not working. Change the color of a headline. Add a new field to a form. Simple things. She could do simple things.
She finished her tasks quickly. She asked for more. Malik gave her harder tasks. She struggled. She made mistakes. She broke the website once. The whole thing went down for 10 minutes. Her face turned red. She wanted to hide under her desk. Malik came over. He looked at the code. He found the problem in 30 seconds. He fixed it. He did not yell. He did not get mad. He just said to be more careful next time. She nodded. She wanted to cry. She did not cry. She fixed the mistake in her notes. She promised herself she would never make that mistake again. She made it again the next day. Different mistake, same result. Malik fixed it again. She wanted to quit. She wanted to run back to the library and hide at computer number 47. But she did not. She stayed. She kept typing. She kept breaking things. She kept fixing them. That was the job. That was the work. Breaking and fixing. Breaking and fixing. Getting a little better every day. The second week was better. She stopped breaking the website. Mostly. She finished her tasks faster. Malik gave her a real project. A small feature for the restaurant software. Something that would let restaurants track their inventory. She worked on it for 3 days. She tested it. She broke it. She fixed it. She tested it again. She showed it to Malik on Friday afternoon. He looked at it. He clicked around. He nodded. He said it was good. Not great, but good. She would take good. Good was enough for now. She walked home that night with a smile on her face. She walked to the shelter. She got in line. She went to bed. The woman next to her snored. Diana did not hear her. She was already dreaming about code. The first paycheck came on the 15th, direct deposit. She did not have a bank account. Malik helped her open one at a credit union near the office, a small account with no fees. She put her hand over her mouth when she saw the number. $1,200 after taxes. $1,200 for 2 weeks of work. She had not seen that much money since before Marcus got sick. She sat at her desk and stared at the screen. $1,200. She could buy new boots. She could buy food that was not from a church donation. She could buy a real phone, a smartphone with internet. She could call her mother and tell her the news. She did all of those things. She bought boots from a store on Broadway, $90. Real boots that did not leak. She bought groceries from a market near the shelter. Bread, peanut butter, bananas, eggs, things she had not eaten in months. She bought a phone from a Metro PCS on 34th Street, $60. A cheap Android with a cracked screen. She did not care about the crack. It had internet. It had maps. It had email. It was a lifeline. She called her mother that night. She stood outside the shelter on 30th Street. The sun was going down. The sky was orange and pink. She dialed the number. Her mother answered on the second ring.
Diana told her everything. The coding, the library, David, the interview, Malik, the job. Her mother listened. She did not say anything. When Diana finished, her mother started to cry. Not quiet crying, loud crying. The kind of crying that came from 2 years of praying and hoping and not knowing. Her mother said she knew God would open a door. Diana did not argue. She did not care who opened the door. She was just glad it was open. She talked to her mother for 30 minutes. She used up most of her minutes. She did not care. Some things were worth more than phone minutes. The shelter was still home. She did not have enough money for an apartment. Not in New York, not yet. She looked at listings online. Studios in the Bronx started at $1,400. One-bedrooms in Washington Heights were $1,600. She could not afford that. Not on $40,000 a year. Not with taxes and Metro cards and food and a phone bill. She needed a roommate. She asked around the office. Nobody needed a roommate. She asked Carolyn at the shelter. Carolyn said she knew someone, a woman named Tanya who worked at a hotel in Midtown. Tanya had a 2-bedroom in Inwood. The rent was $1,800. Split 2 ways, that was $900 each. Diana could afford $900. She met Tanya at a diner on Broadway. Tanya was 35, short, loud, a laugh that filled the whole room. She worked the night shift at the hotel. She slept during the day.
She did not care what Diana did as long as she was quiet in the mornings. Diana said she could be quiet. They shook hands. Diana moved in on the 1st of September. The apartment was small. The kitchen was from the 1970s. The bathroom had a window that did not close. The bedroom was just big enough for a bed and a dresser. Diana did not have a bed. She did not have a dresser. She had a backpack and a laptop and a notebook and a penny. She slept on a mattress Tanya gave her, an old mattress from the hotel. Tanya said it was clean. Diana believed her. She put sheets on it, a pillow, a blanket. She lay down on her first night in her first apartment in almost 2 years. The ceiling had a crack. The walls were thin. She could hear Tanya watching television in the living room. She could hear the subway rumble under the building. She could hear the city breathing outside her window. She closed her eyes. She did not dream. She just slept, deep and quiet and still, the kind of sleep that only comes when you are finally safe. The months passed. Fall came. The leaves changed color. Diana walked to the subway every morning. She took the train to Soho. She sat at her desk. She wrote code. She got better. Malik noticed. He gave her bigger projects. She finished them. She made mistakes. She fixed them. She stopped making the same mistakes twice. The team started to trust her. They asked her opinion on things. They invited her to lunch. She went with them to a sandwich shop on Sullivan Street. She ordered a turkey club. $12. She paid for it herself. She did not need anyone to buy her food anymore. That felt strange. Good strange. She looked around the table at her coworkers. They were talking about movies and music and where to go on vacation. Normal things. Ordinary things. Things she had not thought about in years. She did not have anything to add to the conversation. She just listened. She was learning how to be a person again. A person with a job. A person with an apartment. A person who could buy a turkey club without checking her bank account first. Thanksgiving came. The office closed for 4 days. Diana did not know what to do with herself. She was used to being busy, used to having a purpose. She sat in her apartment and felt strange. Tanya went to her sister's house in New Jersey. Diana was alone. She called her mother. Her mother asked if she was coming to Florida for Christmas. Diana said she did not have the money. Her mother said to put it on a credit card. Diana did not have a credit card. Her credit score was still destroyed. 2 years of nothing would do that. She said maybe next year. Her mother said okay. The silence on the phone was heavy. Diana changed the subject. She asked about her mother's neighbor, about the church potluck, about the weather, small things, safe things. They talked for 20 minutes. They hung up.
Diana sat on her mattress and looked at the crack in the ceiling. She was not sad. She was not happy. She was somewhere in between. She had come so far, but she was still alone, still rebuilding, still figuring out who she was now that she was not homeless anymore. She went for a walk. She walked to the shelter on 30th Street. She stood across the street and watched the women line up for the night. She saw Carolyn at the front of the line. Carolyn looked smaller than Diana remembered, thinner, older. Diana crossed the street. She walked up to Carolyn. Carolyn did not recognize her at first. Then she did. Her whole face changed. She smiled. She hugged Diana. She asked how she was doing. Diana said good. She asked how Carolyn was doing. Carolyn shrugged. She said the same. Same cot, same blanket, same snoring woman next to her. Diana wanted to help. She did not know how. She gave Carolyn $50, cash from her purse. Carolyn tried to refuse. Diana made her take it. She said it was nothing. They both knew it was not nothing. $50 was a lot of money in this world. $50 was new boots, new socks, a week of meals. Carolyn put the money in her bra. She hugged Diana again. She whispered thank you. Diana walked away. She felt something in her chest. Not guilt, not pride. Something in between. Something that felt like responsibility. She had gotten out, but so many women were still in line, still waiting, still hoping. She did not know what to do about that.
Not yet, but she filed the feeling away. She would figure it out later. December came. The city put up Christmas lights. The office had a party. Diana went. She wore the same black blouse. She did not have anything else. Nobody noticed. Or if they noticed, they did not say anything. She drank a glass of champagne, her first drink in a long time. The bubbles made her nose tickle. She laughed. Someone took a picture of her. She looked at the picture later. A woman with a tired face and kind eyes. A woman who had been through something. A woman who was still standing. She saved the picture on her phone. She looked at it when she felt lost, which was often. The outside world thought she had made it. And she had, sort of. She had an apartment, a job, a bank account. But the inside was still catching up. The inside still woke up at 4 a.m. sometimes. The inside still checked her pockets for the penny. The inside still expected something to go wrong. Because something always went wrong. That was what 2 years on the street taught her. Something always goes wrong. The question was not if. The question was when. January came. The new year. Diana made a resolution. She was going to learn more. Not just code. Everything. Business, marketing, sales. She wanted to understand how the whole thing worked. She wanted to build something of her own someday. Not a startup, not a company. Just something. A small thing. A website that helped people. A tool that made someone's life easier.
She did not know what yet, but she was thinking about it. She was always thinking now. That was the difference between the old Diana and the new one. The old Diana survived. The new Diana planned. The old Diana hoped someone would save her. The new Diana knew she had to save herself. And she had. Mostly. She was still saving herself. Every day. One small decision at a time. February came. 1 year since the subway platform. 1 year since the penny. Diana took the train to 14th Street. She walked down to the platform. The lights still buzzed. The cold still came off the river. She stood in the same spot where she sat that night. She reached into her pocket. The penny was still there. She had kept it all this time. A small copper disc with Lincoln's face on it. She held it in her palm. She thought about the woman she was a year ago. Hungry, tired, ashamed, alone. She thought about how close she came to giving up.
how close she came to throwing herself on the tracks. Not literally, but close enough. Close enough to feel the weight of nothing. To feel what it was like to have no reason to wake up in the morning. She did not feel that way anymore. She felt something else. Something that did not have a name. A quiet hum inside her chest. A feeling that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. A train came. The doors opened. She did not get on. She watched the doors close. The train left. She was still standing there. She put the penny back in her pocket.
She walked up the stairs. She walked to the street. The cold hit her face. She smiled. The cold did not bother her anymore. Not because it was warmer, because she was different. She had been through the worst winter of her life. She survived it. She could survive anything now. She walked to the office. She sat at her desk. She opened her computer. She wrote code. The same code she wrote every day, but it felt different now. It felt like freedom. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that comes from knowing you can take care of yourself, that you do not need anyone to save you, that you are your own rescue. Spring came. Malik pulled her aside one afternoon. He said the company was growing. They needed a senior developer. He said she was not ready yet, but she could be. He wanted her to take some classes, real classes, at a community college. He said the company would pay for it, up to $2,000 a year. Diana almost fell out of her chair. Community college? Real classes? A certificate? Maybe even a degree someday? She signed up for a class that started in the fall. Introduction to Database Design. She bought the textbook on Amazon. $40. She highlighted her name in the front cover. Diana Reyes. She wrote the date. She wrote her phone number. In case she lost the book. She would not lose the book. She would keep it forever. Like the penny. Like the notebook. Like the memory of every night she spent in that shelter. She would keep all of it.
Not as a weight, as a reminder of where she came from and what she survived. Summer came, the heat returned, but Diana had air conditioning now, a small unit in her bedroom window. She bought it at a garage sale for $40. It did not work very well, but it worked enough. She sat in her room on a Saturday afternoon. The sun was bright. The subway rumbled under her building. She opened her laptop. She checked her bank account. $15,000. She had saved $15,000 in less than a year. She did not know how. She just did not spend money on things she did not need. No restaurants, no movies, no new clothes except the boots, no drinks after work. She ate at home. She packed her lunch. She took the subway. She saved everything she could. $15,000. It was not a fortune, but it was something. It was a start. She closed the laptop. She lay down on her mattress. She stared at the crack in the ceiling. She thought about what came next. More savings, a better apartment, a car maybe, a trip to Florida to see her mother, a real bed, a dresser, a plant for the windowsill, a life, a real life, the kind she almost gave up on, the kind she almost stopped believing in. She thought about Marcus sometimes. She wondered where he was, if he was okay, if he ever thought about her. She thought about calling him. She never did. Some doors close for a reason. She learned that the hard way. You cannot save everyone. You cannot fix everyone.
You can only fix yourself, and even that takes everything you have. She wished him well. She hoped he was happy. She hoped she found someone who could give him what she could not. Peace, stability, a future that did not feel like a fight every single day. She was not angry at him anymore. She was not angry at anyone. The landlord, the bakery owner, the person who posted the fake job, the nonprofit that never paid her. All of them were just people trying to survive, just like her. The system was broken, not the people. The system. She did not have the power to fix the system. Not yet. Maybe someday. She filed that thought away too. Fall came again. A full year at the job. Malik gave her a raise.
$50,000 a year. She almost cried at her desk. $50,000. It was not rich money, not in New York, but it was enough. Enough to save more, enough to breathe, enough to stop checking her bank account every single day, enough to feel like she was not one emergency away from the street again. She opened a retirement account, a Roth IRA. She put $200 in it every month. It was not much, but it would grow. Compound interest, the thing she read about on the subway platform, the thing that needed time. She had time now. She had plenty of time. She was only 33 years old. She had decades to let her money grow, decades to build something, decades to become someone she was proud of. She thought about the book again.
The Millionaire Next Door. She checked it out from the library. The same library on 42nd Street. The same computer, number 47. She sat in the same chair. The librarian saw her. The librarian smiled. Diana smiled back. She opened the book. She read it again. The words meant something different now. Before, the book was a dream, something she hoped was true. Now the book was a map, something she was already following. She was not a millionaire, not even close, but she was on the path. The path was simple. Spend less than you make. Save the rest. Invest the rest. Wait, that was it. That was the whole secret. No magic, no luck, just discipline, just time, just the same stubbornness that got her off the street. She closed the book. She walked out of the library. The lions were still there. The steps were still there. The city was still there. But she was different now. She was not the woman who used to sit on these steps with nothing but a backpack and a broken heart. She was someone else, someone who made it, someone who was still making it, someone who would never stop making it. The moral of the story is not about money. It is about what money represents. Safety, dignity, the ability to make a choice. Diana did not become a millionaire. She became something better. She became someone who could look at herself in the mirror and not feel ashamed. She became someone who could walk past a shelter and not feel like she belonged there anymore.
She became someone who could help the person behind her, the person still in line, the person still hoping. That is what success really looks like. Not a bank account, a heart that is still soft, hands that still reach out, a life that still believes in second chances. Diana kept the penny. She kept it in her pocket for years, even after she bought new pants, even after she moved to a better apartment, even after she got promoted again. She kept the penny. She pulled it out sometimes, on hard days, on days when she forgot how far she had come. She held it in her palm and remembered the woman on the subway platform, the woman who had nothing, the woman who almost gave up, the woman who kept going anyway. She thanked that woman. She thanked her for being stubborn, for being scared, for being brave enough to stay on the platform until the right train came. Here is what Diana learned, and here is what every American needs to know. You are not your worst moment. You are not your empty pockets. You are not the job you lost or the rent you could not pay or the door that closed in your face. You are the person who keeps showing up. You are the person who keeps trying. You are the person who wakes up every morning and decides to fight another day. That person is not weak. That person is the strongest person in the room. Diana did not have a degree. She did not have connections. She did not have money. She had a library card. She had a stubborn heart. She had a penny in her pocket. And that was enough. That was always enough. She just did not know it yet. Now you know it. Whatever you are carrying right now, whatever weight is on your shoulders, whatever voice in your head is telling you to give up, do not listen to it. Go to the library, open the computer, learn something, build something, save something. Wait, the train is coming. It might take a year, it might take 5, it might take 10, but the train is coming. Be on the platform when it arrives. And when you get on that train, do not forget the people still standing in the cold. Reach back,
Help one person. That is the whole point. That is the only point. That is what makes a life worth living. What are you waiting for?